The 8th, you know, in a return match it will be Macho Man Randy Savage beating my guest at this time, and the Intercontinental title will be on the line. I have never heard fans in the Boston Garden explode Tito Santana like they did for this one. And again, Randy Savage involved in another tremendously controversial decision.
You know, Gene, I'm a little disturbed about this whole thing because I wanted the producers to show the people here in Boston exactly what happened, because no matter what I come out here and say, Gene, no matter what I say, Macho Man is going to come out here and lie about it. Macho Man, I was not able to get the producer to show what happened this week, but I guarantee you, man, I'm going to stay on them, and by next week, they're going to have to show what happened. What really makes me mad, Gene, more than anything else, is the fact that Macho Man had been bragging about the fact that right here in Boston, he was going to take the belt away from me. I know damn well now, Macho Man, why you were so sure that you were going to take the belt away from me here in Boston. I want you to feel this, Mean Gene. That's what he knocked me out with. Steel, solid steel.
It's got to be 32
knocked
ounces.
Me right out. Macho Man, I took it to you right here in Boston, my man, because Boston happens to be my town. I'll put a whipping to you, brother. And several times, I've seen the film. I saw you go for that on several occasions, Macho Man. You had it all figured out, man. That's what really gets me hot. Te garantizo, cobarde. Te garantizo, aquí en Boston tengo la oportunidad de luchar en contra de ti otra vez. Aquí gané una título una vez. Tengo la oportunidad, Macho Man. Te garantizo, cobarde. Ni esto te va a ayudar. Estoy preparado para hacerte que pagues como un perro, cobarde. ¡Arriba!
All right, big news, fans, stay tuned. Ricky Steamboat squares off against Jake the Snake Roberts. Hulk Hogan, heavyweight champ, to defend against adorable Adrian Adonis at the Kiel Auditorium here in St. Louis. 18th, he's going to be meeting my guest at this time, Intercontinental Champion, Macho Man Randy Savage.
Arriba! Me no speak no good English, Taco. Who am I? Huh? It's the Macho Man Randy Savage, and the game is over. Oh yeah, the game stops now.
Hey.
Yeah, the buck stops here.
The buck stops here.
Yeah.
Harry Truman.
You want to ask her a question?
Well, you've told me I can't talk to her.
You can do it right now if you do it specifically. Go ahead, right now.
All right, Elizabeth, would you care?
We have to understand the Kiel Auditorium. Yeah, things are going to be happening. The Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion is going to be in Kiel, isn't he?
That's right, Macho Man.
Go ahead and ask the question, Oakley. Go ahead, man. Be specific. Go ahead.
I'm not going to be a sucker twice.
Is that right? Tito Santana said that about himself. He says he's never been knocked out by one punch before. But this punch was a little bit different, wasn't it? Yeah, a little bit of body movement, doing the thing. Body movement,
Thank
Elizabeth.
you very
Get
much, Macho Man
body.
Randy Savage, to defend against Tito Santana at the Kiel Auditorium.
This is the Pro Wrestling Spotlight, presented by Hami Media and the Pro Wrestling Reflection, where we discuss the very best of the best in pro wrestling history.
And what you gonna do when Hulkamania and the largest arms in the world run wild on you?
The two soundest wrestlers in the World Wrestling Federation, maybe in the history of the World Wrestling Federation, are right here, right now. Mr. Perfect and the excellence of execution, the Hitman.
WrestleMania weekend isn't complete without the Heartbreak Kid, and he is on his way.
He put hard times on Dusty Rhodes and his family.
They think they got the answers. I change the question.
You will rest in peace.
Get used to it in Ric Flair. Who you're looking at, the man.
What is going on there, Reflectionites? What is going on there to the Vito-ites, the Hami Knights? and still the probationary PWCH, but they're on the good side of the probation with the professor. They're on the good side of the probation with TW. You know why? Because, again, consecutive weeks in a row, the professor has noticed on the PWC network, they are uploading some PWR podcast shows, and that is a positive thing. That is a good thing. That gets Jimmy T out of the solitary confinement and goes back into general population. That means he can, gallivant with everybody. But neither here nor there, because again, I'm a good warden. I'm a fair warden. I'm a, I call it right down the middle. As long as Jimmy T keeps uploading, then he will go from probationary to he's out of there. He's on probation. He's on house arrest, if you will. He'll have the electronic devices on his ankles. He won't leave the house. But as long as he keeps uploading, then the ankle braces will be off and he'll be a free man. But again, neither here nor there. And welcome to the PWR podcast here at the Hami Media Group at Podbean.com. And if you don't know who I am, where the hell have you been? What the hell have you been doing? What the hell have you been listening to? I know Donnie Day 1 is still binging, and he's on 2023 right now as we speak. Donnie has said maybe by July or this summer, he's going to finish binging the PWR podcast. So whatever I say, Donnie, it will be more present than, hearing this maybe in 2025 or 2026. But again, me and TW have a little hidden bet here. I bet that you can make it maybe at the end of 2024. TW says no because you're listening to 102.7, the Tom Petty hour of power, or whatever the case may be. You ain't gonna listen. You ain't gonna finish your binging until 2027. So, again, Donnie, do a brother proud. Make me proud. Finish this off in 2024 for me. TW doesn't believe in you. But anyway, neither here nor there. And if you don't know who I am the oh-so studious one. I am the oh-so effervescent one. I am the oh-so glamorous one. But most importantly, I am the oh-so glorious one. The only objective man in this IWC, YWC, and probationary PWC punditry. The only objective man in this political hemisphere. The only objective man in this social media conundrum. You know what, Reflectionites? Remember this. The Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef that is going on right now is a smokescreen. So this way you know that the Illuminati has, Ukraine under its back pocket, has Hamas under its back pocket, has Diddy under its back pocket, has pedophilia under its back pocket. So that's a conspiracy gripe. That's a conspiracy diatribe, which is true. Ask Alex Jones, ask David Icke. But anyway, I'm the Professor Chabelle Cruz. And I'm not here alone. No. I am here with my brother from another mother. The conservative liberal, the liberal conservative, dum-dum doing its own, the iron stomach one, Dr. Frickin' Stein, and the undisputed, the undeniable Detroit heavyweight champion of the world. Tommy Wonder, how you doing, my friend? And he is rocking a fire American Nightmare Cody Rhodes shirt.
I'm doing good. And I was surprised you didn't introduce yourself as the P. Diddy of the Pro Wrestling Reflection. And
I thought you were going to say I'm the Drake of
the groomer. The groomer of the show. The groomer from the dudes in the DMs. But anyways.
That's you. You got no dudes to slide in there.
Listen, I'll say it once, I'll say it again. I am gay friendly. I am not a participant. And if I could be a stay-at-home power top, I would have been a long time ago.
Okay,
bitches
that's cool.
Be tripping. But I still love the women.
Well, wait a minute. We need an update now. You remember, Christopher Paul Bruce Windland, I did my job. I tagged TW. I tagged you. So this way y'all can handle the DM.
Got it. He's friends on my regular Facebook now. Mm-hmm. He was quick to point out that we are on complete polar opposite sides of the political spectrum, but I've said it before, say this again. I will never, ever let politics dictate who is or is not in my life. He's a cool dude. I don't care how he votes, as long as he cares how he votes. That's all. That's the only requirement I have, Professor, is if you're going to ask me to believe in something, you better believe in it yourself. That's it. But
you believe I'm a groomer, and that's a totally untrue. So again, we can still coexist.
What it is you,
with lies and
unfortunately,
fabrication.
You were groomed many years ago when this show was at its peak popularity, when we had 14 and a half listeners, and one of them got you. He turned you. It's okay, though. You're still the same lovable guy who, by the way, out of nowhere, you just all of a sudden start throwing scripture out on Instagram every day. I look forward to it every day now. When I don't see it, I got to go looking for it if it's not showing it to me already. So I appreciate that. You're trying to get right from all the bad that you've done in them DMs, but it's all good. But listen, Facebook, first of all, I don't think Facebook's all bad, right? It's only as bad as you let it get. I think it's awesome for making people like Donnie our friend. I feel like if me and him ever were in the same room together, we would feel like we've known each other for years, because we have. We just haven't been in the same room. You and I video, so that's different. So that's almost the same. But I was scrolling through Facebook, and every now and again, there's like links to WWE Shop or Fanatics or whatever. And this thing, I got it for $20.17. Actually, I got him and her. Listen, here's the best part. You see that outfit? It's purple. And this is that. Same as that right there. Okay. I got them both shipped for $50. That's basically the same as buying them at retail. And guess what they sent me? I had my fingers crossed. I didn't say a prayer because that's a weird thing to ask God for. But I told my buddies, Jeff from TNA, I said, I hope I get the chase. And guess what I got?
The chase?
The chase.
Nice.
I also got the new Hulk Hogan chase in the Japanese gear. But I wanted to show this because L.A. Knight, my first figure of his, because all his figures are through the roof on eBay and everywhere else. But we were talking before we started recording, and I have my new wall here.
He has updated the wall. Well, for the audio Reflectionites, he has updated his wall of fame. You know, he's had some other stuff in the attic, and now he's added it to his Hall of Wonders here. Go ahead, TW.
And you guessed right, but I can't believe I never showed this for Ray, because if he doesn't pop for this, I don't know if he's poppable. Watch this. You ready? I don't know if I can do it. I can't. I did it on the first try.
It splits open.
No, I didn't do it on the first try. What the hell happened?
Well, it's splitting like it's supposed to.
Dude,
that's the way that.
It's supposed to open up when you do it and see inside of it.
Well, you know what? We do it live, Reflectionites. We do it live, and then TW did not rehearse. TW didn't do a rehearsal. He did a Shockmaster for all the audio Reflectionites.
Opened this before. I thought I opened this before, but I did not. Oh man, it's even got both belts.
It's the ladder match. It's HBK. It's Razor Ramon and the Intercontinental.
Fucking Jiffy peanut butter Razor Ramon. Look at that chubby face and that hair, dude. That's a Gerber baby. All grows up.
Well, yeah,
Sean's hands fell out.
Jesus Christ! Again,
cool. You can take these out and put it back in the box.
We do it live. We do it live all the time. TW did not do a dress rehearsal. He just does a Shockmaster. Sometimes it just goes through the wall. Sometimes it doesn't go thugh the wall. He just busts his ass.
That was a Shockmaster. I swear when you open it up, they were inside the middle. I don't know what happened. One of the Toy Story people woke up and they changed it because they were probably cold down here in his basement. They want an extra layer of blanket. That's that.
Again, well, that's good. TW is updating his Hall of Wonders, ladies and gentlemen. So you know what? He's not finished just yet, but it does look great. So hopefully, if A-Track Brown, the slowest motherfucker out there, uploads this, you can see the updated version of the Hall of Wonders. So
doesn't Big Ray put it on X?
Yeah, he does.
So then why if people follow Big Ray? They'll see it either way.
Well, again, Big Ray, he does it early, but A-Track does it slower. So you know. The tortoise and the hare kind of.
So he's doing it at the same pace as the Dawn of Destruction, is what you're saying. Who just sent me a message.
See, he's not even binging. Again, now TW's winning his bet. He said 2027. I said 2024. Donnie, just do me a favor. Keep binging, keep listening. You're gonna catch up very quickly. But then again, neither here nor there. So let's get on with the show, TW. And this one you was amped up for. And the professor was amped up for. And actually, the executive producer extraordinaire was amped up for this episode coming up. We're doing a Greatest Rivalries Intercontinental Title Wars, if you will, Reflectionites, between the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Yeah, you do it better than I do. But anyway, Randy Savage against Tito Santana, Mr. Arriba himself. Well, you did that good too, so I'll give you praises on both. But anyway, before we get into the matches that I had TWC, let's talk about the two Hall of Famers, the two icons themselves, TW. First and foremost, as you have eloquently said on past PWR podcasts, the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship, in its, let's say in its phoenix, in its hollow glory back in the 80s, it was the workman's title. The Intercontinental Championship on house shows usually closed the show. When Hulk Hogan had the belt, he closed the first intermission. Then he left to go to his hotel. But the Intercontinental Champion had to close the house shows. He was the main event. And it was apropos because we did a rivalries earlier, maybe a year or two ago. We did Tito Santana versus Greg the Hammer Valentine. So we got our feet wet. We got the appetizers. But to me, this is the main course. This is the rivalry per se of what it's meant for the Intercontinental Championship, of what it's meant to be Workhorse, if you will, TW. Because Tito Santana and Macho Man, those house shows, that atmosphere, that feeling was, I dare to say, a bigger fight feel than any Hulk Hogan title defense that closed the first intermission. What say you?
100%, because everybody knew Hogan was winning, and the Intercontinental title, you had no idea. There's something big could happen tonight. Like I was thinking about it, obviously what happened in Boston, but back then it wasn't like there was Raw or SmackDown, and you had Saturday Night's Main Event where occasionally a title would change hands, but it really didn't often. So title changes were something you'd see on Superstars or obviously WrestleMania, and then when they got going and having 4 pay-per-views. But this is back in WrestleMania was it. I don't even think Great American Bash didn't come, or Great American Bash, SummerSlam didn't come around until 87, 88? 88. And then Survivor Series was 90 or 89? 88.
87.
Oh, it was before SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so these are all happening in 85, 86, 87 before there is. And so you would see title changes on Superstars. They would show you this happened in the Rosemont Horizon in Chicago, Illinois, or whatever. So it kind of it felt competitive. Whereas Hogan, I think you didn't necessarily know he was going to win, but you felt like if he didn't win, he was getting fucked because he was always fighting the Heenan family or Jimmy Hart's stable, or it was always someone messing with him on top of the guy who he was fighting, who was also a beast, usually King Kong Bundy or Big John Studd or somebody massive where, let's be honest, the AEW fan of today would have absolutely hated the Hogan match and loved the Tito Macho Man match because it was more wrestling.
Mm-hmm. It is. But let's kind of like focus on Tito Santana and Macho Man per se, because Tito Santana was this, you could say, the flag bearer of the Intercontinental Championship, because again, he had wars with Don Morocco. He had wars with Greg the Hammer Valentine. So he was the ultimate chaser, if you will, TW.
And isn't he the first 2-time champion?
By the time he's fighting Macho Man, yes, he was a 2-time Intercontinental Heavyweight champion.
But the first one, right? Everyone else won it and then lost it and never got it back.
Per se, yeah, it was.
Unless Valentine did, but I just remember him losing it to Valentine and winning it back. And
well, we don't have to go with the logistics. I just want you to go with the analogy first. But Tito Santana was the flag bearer because, we could say this. In the mid-'80s, Tito Santana and the Intercontinental title belt itself, it was a match made in heaven. And we could, maybe it's hindsight now, TW, because again, we could parlay his career. But in the mid-'80s, I think even the staunchest smart fan, even of the mid-'80s, was like, Tito has the Intercontinental title. He's just maybe one step away from getting a title shot against Hulk Hogan, and they're going to do something with it. Maybe he might turn heel or whatever the case may be, but he's just one program with Hogan away, whether they turn him heel or they might fight in Mexico. Vince McMahon had that delusions of grandeur of going international. It could have been Santana versus Hogan in Mexico City or whatever the case may be. I'm just going hindsight right now. But he was a staunch man with the Intercontinental belt. But then something happened. Vince McMahon's expansion. Vince McMahon's talent raid. And he got somebody from Mid-South with the brash, the charisma, and what Vince McMahon loved about this man, Macho Man Randy Savage, larger than life persona with the sunglasses, the robes, and then when you added Miss Elizabeth to the fold, it was a total package right there.
And he was an athlete.
And he was an athlete. But
that dude was like he was like a cat, man. He jumped over that ugly ass guardrail, one of them house shows, that big red fucking looks like an electrical fence for cows. He jumped right over it and then jumped on it a couple times and did a double axe handle. He's so just smooth is what he is.
He is smooth. Let me just finish my diatribe and then you go with your thing. But when Vince McMahon scooped up Macho Man Randy Savage, Tito Santana's days as Intercontinental Champion was over. It was it was numbered, if you will, Reflectionites, because Vince McMahon saw what Macho Man represented, what Vince's vision. Hogan was the larger-than-life good guy, but Macho Man was the larger-than-life bad guy. And Vince McMahon was creaming in his pants. And you can even, not even the staunchest smart mark would like, okay, it's a question of when, not if. Just a question of when Macho Man was going to be the Intercontinental Champion. But, you know, it's yin and yang, TW. They were great foils for each other. So what say you about that?
Absolutely. And at the time, you know, I don't think Tito had long reigns, because you know the formula in WWE. If a good guy had the world title, a bad guy had the IC title, because he always wanted someone.
No, you're right. True, it's not long reigns, but he was in the title picture.
No. I know, but I'm saying that was the beauty of it, was the chase. Like Tito was the ultimate, like the fans rallied behind because they wanted to see him do right and win the belt back from Valentine. And then he got screwed by Macho Man, and then screwed in all the subsequent rematches. Like they kept him strong in losses, so he could still have a legit chance that people thought he was going to win that thing back. And ironically enough, the guy that bumps him out of the spot is a guy he used to team with. I was a little bummed out we didn't have any tag matches of Santana and Steamboat versus Savage and somebody. You gave me crusty old Grandpa San Martino instead, but yeah, the Macho Man was perfect for, like, you know, we talked about it before. WCW or NWA's logic was having a babyface chase for the world title. That's what sold tickets. And WWE was like, nope, it's having a larger-than-life Hulk Hogan attraction that makes people come out because they want to see him. They want to be in the room with him. And but what they did was the undercard was always the heel getting chased by. I think that's why that belt was so popular. It was all the guys that people wanted to see big things from fighting for that belt, bad or good guy. Whereas the NWA, we talked about it before, the Horsemen had all the belts, so everybody was chasing. They don't know what it's like to have a larger-than-life guy as champion until Sting did it. And Sting, unfortunately, got hurt all the damn time. So he's another one that didn't have long reigns. Yeah, but that Intercontinental title belt, for one, it changed hands. The WWE belt, you got 3 different guys that have had it for years on end between Backlund, San Martino, and Hogan. So that IC belt was like, you know what? That other belt's never coming out away from Hogan. That's why people started turning on him by 88, 89. It's because they were sick and tired of him as champ. But that IC belt, and it wasn't a hot potato. It's guys held it for months, and then they lose it. I like that. I like the pay-per-view that just happened, PLE. I really thought there was a chance Damian Priest was going to lose that belt, and I didn't want that. And the reason I thought that is because the infighting with the Judgment Day, I thought they'd cost them or whatever. But I thought they were just trying to pad the lineage. You know what I mean? Because I forgot all about Drew's 5-minute reign. But it's like, let's hurry up and have a bunch of people as former champions. Plus, you have all these title reigns that lasted a long time in WWE. I thought he was going to lose it. So I was glad he didn't. But these Intercontinental title match reigns, other than Honky Tonk and I don't know, is it Gunther or Walter? I never remember what the fuck his name is.
Call him either or, but it's Gunther right now.
Gunther. Those guys' reigns were so long that you just, like, I'm surprised that R-Truth and Miz are still tag champions. I feel like a hot potato phase is coming. And that's what I liked about the IC title back then, before the Attitude Era ruined it, besides changing it to that ugly-ass belt. But then it became a hot potato. Everybody had to have it. And that's when it lost its mystique because, again, obviously Tito never did. Greg Valentine, Steamboat, Honky Tonk Man. None of them ever went on to win the world title until Macho Man, and then Bret and Shawn, and well, not Razor either. But everyone thought the guy holding that IC title, Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect. No, fuck, dude, that's crazy to say it now that I'm saying it. Only Macho Man did. He's the only one that went on to become world champion until Bret and Shawn.
But like I said, Vince McMahon, when he scooped him up, larger than life. He was just the perfect.
He's perfect.
Person. He was the
you
perfect.
You love to hate him, and then you throw the fact that he's tossing his girl around and using her as a shield, and then people hate him even more for that. Even though some of the rednecks were like, "I've done the same shit. I do that back on the farm."
Yes, well, we're not condoning it. We just we
JB does that with you when people come to your house. He pushes you in the way, protect you.
No, that's JB's wife. Yeah, she's the one that's beating him down. But anyway, neither here nor there.
You're his side chick.
I have nothing to do with any grooming or nothing. I can neither confirm nor deny. But anyway.
By the way, first match, the rain match, the only match Tito gets. Hold on. Did you see Big Ray with hair leaning under an umbrella watching? He wasn't front row, but he was perched up, so he looked like he was front row. But I'm like, that's Ray. That's Big Ray right there.
You got good eyes. You're watching the atmosphere. You're watching the background.
He's almost the same size as them.
But since you actually
screenshot that shit and send it on the page.
But Reflectionites, before we talk about certain matches I had TW watch, he actually said something that I want to talk about first because Big Ray gave us a story. I have my stories, and I'm sure TW has stories. So I want to focus in on this because my father, bought tickets, and me and my brother went, and we didn't have front row seats, TW. No, don't get me wrong. But in '86, we saw a couple of house shows. And I'm like 90% sure that one of those house shows, we got to see Tito Santana chasing for that belt against Macho Man Randy Savage. Big Ray talked about his birthday present, if you will, Reflectionites, from his father, God rest his soul. He got him birthday tickets to MSG for one of those rematches between Tito and Macho Man Randy Savage. And I'm sure, TW, either you went there to the Joe Louis Arena, or you saw it on Detroit's local cable operating platform, if you will, that house show.
I went to Coble Hall a lot, and then Joe Louis.
Did you go?
I saw Hogan Orndorff. I saw Macho Man Steamboat.
Oh, okay. You didn't see Macho Man Santana then, but
no, I don't
probably saw it. But you saw it on the cable.
WrestleMania 3. I'm pretty sure it was my first ever wrestling event. And then after that, I got to go see house shows because we really didn't know. You know what I mean? Remember back when they'd advertise them, they would show you like 300 cities in a row, and Detroit was never one of them because it wasn't time. And then when it was too late. Single mom, all that. But then my mom, once she took me all the time. She bought me merch. I had that American-made headband. I had it all. I enjoyed it. I wish I remember. I do remember Hogan versus Orndorff. I want to say Bulldog's Heart Foundation was a main event once when Hogan wasn't on it. But it was all after the Tito Macho Man stuff.
Okay, well, that's fair, but you probably saw it on the cable company, cable operating system. But anyway,
I didn't have cable, brother. Detroit didn't have it.
Oh, damn.
We had passports.
But I'll say it for myself and for Big Ray, because the atmosphere at MSG, if Tito Santana was Puerto Rican, there would have been a riot, because every time he got, hosed, he got, they jobbed him out, not jobbed him out in Reflectionites, but he just got fucked over, not getting that title back. But the atmosphere was so great for Tito Santana and TW. You saw at least one of those matches I showed you was an MSG house show, and the fans were going crazy for Tito. They wanted him to recapture that belt at the house show. And I'm just saying, those house shows were electric. Those house shows meant something because, again, Reflectionites, you did not see the MSG house show in LA. You did not see the MSG house show in Detroit. You did not see the MSG house show in Florida. It was secularized for the New York tri-state area. So it was our story. Yeah, they filmed it, but it was our house show story. It was our house show moment. It was our house show bookings. Just like TW has his Detroit bookings for Hogan and Orndorff. I didn't see those, but it's special for TW. So what say you, TW? Because when it's secularized to Detroit, when it's secularized to New York, it's for us. It's special to us. And Reflectionites, I'm going to put the cat out the bag before we even talk about all the matches. Some of those rematches were the same sequences of events. It was the same sequences of finishes. But guess what? It didn't matter because I didn't see Detroit. I didn't see Florida. I didn't see Philadelphia.
You had me look at Toronto,
New York, and I think Boston.
Boston rematch.
Oh no, or Philadelphia.
Yeah, and you run the risk doing Philly, New York, because there's people that might go to both. Like diehard Grateful Dead heads. But real quick, I gotta get this off my chest. Speaking of fans, when I watched Backlash, the first match, I was like, "Holy shit, this is awesome!" And then my buddy Jeff, TNA Jeff, said, "The internet split 50-50." By the end of that show, I stopped watching, thinking, "I hope they never go back to France ever again." I feel so bad, mostly for AJ, but AJ and Cody's match was absolutely ruined by that crowd. AJ came out to silence, absolute silence, and I was just like, what the fuck? How do you go bananas for all three chicks in the triple threat match, and then when AJ comes out, nothing, like pin drop, and then during the match they chant AJ Styles in some broken English, but they had, they wanted to steal the show, and I just feel, I said it to you a million times, you cannot steal the show if the audience isn't with you. And I'm not saying they weren't with them, but it felt like the Raw after Mania.
They were singing for AJ. What are you talking about?
They know that, but after doing nothing when he came out to no noise. There was not a pop.
Because they don't know the words. Not like they knew Cody Rhodes' song. They knew Cody Rhodes' song
No. But when a guy comes out, they either cheer or they boo. They did neither. They just sat there.
Because they wanted to sing his song, but they didn't know his song. His song was new.
Yeah, well, it was
I'm not defending France. But since you didn't like what France did, but again, the house shows for Macho Man and Tito.
So that's the other thing.
Special. But
if you ask a wrestler currently, WWE, because I don't think AEW does them, if you ask them what's the best show to go to, they will flat out tell you. Now that I've been to Raw and SmackDown both and multiple times, I couldn't agree more. If you have a chance to take your kid, if you're listening to this, or go for one for the first time ever, go to a house show, especially if it's the Christmas thing, because they do all kind of crazy shit specifically for that. That's never going to see the light of day. It's not going on Coliseum home video. It's not going on Raw. They'll call it the Raw Christmas tour or the SmackDown Christmas tour. But the thing is, there's no commercials. There's no sitting in the ring, pauses with the lights out. And they get time to wrestle, and they pop themselves. It's fun. It's interactive. And I want to say, just like with Raw and SmackDown, Cody or someone comes down at the end and thank you for coming and all that kind of stuff. But the house shows where it's at. And I remember going to house shows when I was a kid. I don't know if you ever paid attention to this when you were there. More than likely, it was every time you were there because of MSG Network. But if you saw the red light, you knew they were recording. And then you think, oh, shit, there's going to be a title change. And then there wouldn't be one. And you're like, motherfucker. I thought if they had the camera, there was a title change. Like, the house show I wish I would have been at? For obvious reasons.
Which one?
Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, back in '92.
Oh, Hart and Flair.
Hart and Flair. I would have killed to be there, man.
That one was one of those you did not know unless you was into the dirt sheets. Then you kind of knew that Flair was leaving or his contract
was
coming up.
Too. He got hurt, and that's why he dropped it so quick.
It was a combination of hurt and of course he wanted to go back. So but I get what you're saying. So with that being said, Reflectionites, again, for me, the house shows were great. It was special. The MSG house shows, but again, the storyline was the same thing. Macho Man, we're going to talk about it, Reflectionites, where Macho Man's Boston win, the robbery of '86, parlayed into a feud of it. Put it this way, TW, because, for the Bill Apter match, right? Macho Man versus Tito Santana did not win Feud of the Year because guess what? It wasn't really nationally televised. You only knew from Superstars that he won the title. That's it. That's as far as it went. If you went to the house shows of Madison Square Garden, Boston Garden, Philly, Toronto, Timbuktu, whatever the case may be, they put on a kick-ass program, and that should have been at least considered Feud of the Year for 1986. But Bill Apter couldn't vote for that because, again, it wasn't nationally seen. But with that being said, let's go to the first match that I had TW watch, and it was the infamous one in Puerto Rico in late 1985, where for some reason there's a doppelganger of Big Ray, executive producer extraordinaire, holding an umbrella. It could have been Big Ray's cousin.
He was under someone else's umbrella. He was sitting on the rail like this, underneath somebody else's. I can't believe I didn't see him, dude.
I'm focusing on the ring. I'm focusing on the wet mat of the ring, the monsoon that's happening, not gorilla monsoon, but the monsoon that was going on in Puerto Rico, where, you know, Ms. McMahon did not have the funds and not have the resources to put up a canopy to protect the ring and all that stuff. So what say you about this first match where Tito Santana successfully defends the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship?
First of all, it's weird that Gorilla was ring announcing and doing commentating, and I don't think he moved. He sat wherever he was at doing it. He didn't get in the ring and stand there in the rain. Second of all, did you catch the referee?
Who's the referee?
Tim White. Very young.
That was Tim White?
Very young, very thin.
I thought that was a fat Puerto Rican replacement referee.
Tim White, and it was Steve Austin's drinking buddy. But
really?
Yeah, and so the first three matches are all famous referees, and then after that, some old fucking Mr. Magoo looking guy. But dude, there's no. I would have been like, I ain't wrestling, and I love what they do here. They did not fucking put in work. They did the bare minimum. But the one thing I noticed it in this match first, and then the more I watched, first I was like, man, Tito Santana threw good punches. He had good punches that looked real, and like you felt like he was clocking them. And then by the end of all the stuff I watched,
but then wait, hold up. Didn't people say that Tito threw potatoes?
Whatever. They looked like $1 million, and Savage had them too. They looked like to me. I mean, he made contact. See, there's three kinds of punches. There's fucking fake, that where you just look like you're not doing it. There's snug, which is what I thought I was, where you're touching them, but you're not following through. And then there's stiff, where you just pop a dude, which is apparently what everyone thought I had, to take the Tommy Warner comments. But he grabbed you by the hair. Like a lot of guys would do this. They'd grab someone by the head and punch their own hand, right? But he grabbed by the hair up high and punched the dude right in the fucking side of the head. And then Macho Man was doing it too. And they were works of art, man. And the reason it sticks out in my head is Irish Mickey Doyle. He's always practiced his punches, right? Speaking of which, the Backlash, I caught something Damian Priest did that I've never seen anyone do before. Whenever he was getting punched by Uso in the corner, he stomped his foot. Like, you know how they stomp their foot when they punch? He was stomping his foot. And I'm like, I'll bet you he does that because other people are watching to see if Jay is stomping his foot. And instead, he's stomping the one that's in the corner that you're not really looking at. So, but anyway, they had great punches. And Tito, he looked like everybody loves Raymond.
Hold up,
a gym teacher.
1 second, TW, because let's go back to the atmosphere of Puerto Rico, because again, what was going on? There was a monsoon, Reflectionites. It was raining constantly there. And well, that's what I want to go with, because you said they did the bare minimum. But instinct, I don't want to use AEW or NXT TW, but you know where I'm going to go with this. The only one that probably would suffer because of what was going on in Puerto Rico and the monsoon is Macho Man, because he has aerial maneuvers and he has to go off the top rope. So Macho Man was more hindered, if you will, not Jinder Mahal, but hindered. But he was hindered by not doing his aerial assaults, TW. So Macho Man had to, go to plan B, if you will, in this match. Am I right or wrong on this?
You're right. You're absolutely right. Something caught my attention there. Side note,
of course, everything catches your attention.
I know.
You look away.
They both have aerial moves. I heard that part, but so go ahead, say it again. Ask it again.
Tito doesn't really have an aerial maneuver off the top rope.
He had a beautiful. Oh yeah, but he had a drop kick. He was very athletic.
Yeah, but I think Macho Man was more hindered because he had the double axe hand blow off the top. He had the flying elbow
from the rain. From the rain.
Right.
Yeah.
For the rain. So he had to go to a plan B more than Tito did.
But no, because the other thing you're missing is a lot of stuff guys are doing or running off the ropes or whatever, and someone's going to slip and tear their ACL running in that shit. So they did a lot of, it reminded me of, I had a match where the rope broke the top fucking rope. So it was like, if I ran the ropes, I was flipping over the fucking thing and going to the floor. So we just went, you almost end up doing like a high school wrestling almost. But those guys were just working headlocks and punches and whatever else. But the funny thing is, neither one of them looked mad about it. Like, they looked like, whatever, it's fucking raining. And I was like, Tito had a shirt on that he had to take off. And I remember thinking, is he going to leave it on so that when he bumps, he's not bumping on this wet, dirty ass canvas? He can at least wash the shirt afterwards. But there's no way I would have done it. But they did a very phone it in match, but not phone it in the way, in a negative way. They gave the people something, and I respected that because, like I said, Big Ray sitting on that thing, he's talking, coaching them and shit, like talking, hey man, fucking ring it tighter, whatever. So the fact that they did that and the fans were still into it and the fans were still there, the bleachers were empty. But the main floor had it reminded me of an indie show more than a WWE show, and I was stunned that they still wrestled, absolutely stunned. But it's Puerto Rico. That when are they going to get a chance to make it up? They probably didn't go there very often. Probably they did what they could.
Yeah.
Imagine being the fucking Rockers in the Hart Foundation and that shit.
So let me ask you this, because the ending of this match, again, because of the weather. Do you think this was an on-the-fly, or you think this was a legit, like, plan A finish where Tito wins with the roll-up, or he had no choice but to do that?
I would think everything they did in that match, they did because of the rain. Like, I'm not saying Tito wasn't above winning with a small pad. It reminded me of the Savage Steamboat finish, WrestleMania 3. So I think that's something they had in their repertoire all along, and they're like, that's the safe one to do. Because I don't even remember if they did come off the top rope at all. Did Macho Man even come down off the top rope? Yeah, no. That's fucking.
Like you said, fuck it, I ain't doing everything. I'm just gonna do the bare minimum, and the bare minimum was the punches. The bare minimum was the kicks. The
punches,
bare minimum
headlocks, kicks, and then like tackle, like takedowns, like no whipping ropes and everything. I think they did a good job. And like I said, I can't help but think whenever we watch this older stuff, like even the Boston Garden stuff, the Madison Square Garden, Toronto. Everything we watch, it looked so more real to me then than it does now. Like
it looked more sports centric.
Yes, and like even the way it was announced by Gorilla and the quietness, and then they start wrestling. It reminded me of the Sunday afternoon ABC Wild World of Sports. Like they threw wrestling on there. It felt legit. It didn't feel like, as an adult, you I'm sure you've had this moment. If you haven't, you're full of shit. Where you watch it and go, how the fuck did I not know this wasn't real? I hate using that term, but I'm trying to be layman's terms. You know what I mean? Like, I legit, up until high school, thought they were beating the shit out of each other and really trying to win. And I wasn't really as into other sports yet to know that if the NFL had a guy fucking thump somebody in the throat with a fucking brass knuckle, they're getting in trouble. It doesn't matter if the ref saw it or not. They're getting in trouble on Monday. So
and just remember, people in high school still believed in Santa Claus too. So once you found out certain things are not real, it happens. Reflectionites.
Yeah, but I'm saying my point of bringing that up is when I watch it now, it's like, fuck, man, some guys are clearly missing, and you clearly talking. I don't think the guys were that bad at not looking real back then. That's why I think we bought it so much. It's like. You watch a guy, there's no doubt in my mind, Ricky Steamboat took a timekeeper's belt to the throat. I don't give a shit. Like, imagine that how south that could have went if he slipped, right? Because he hit Ricky Steamboat in the neck with that belt, but he probably hit his hands there, probably hit his shoulder, not his neck. I bought it all, man. DDT to Steamboat. Steamboat took some beatings. He got hung by Morocco, DDT by Jake the Snake, timekeeper.
You're going. See, now you're overkilling, man. You're going on an overload, man.
I bought it all. I bought it all, man.
This is what the Intercontinental title brought to TW. Yes. All this brought it all back to him. I love this. So with that being said, TW, I got to go back. We got to at least talk about the most infamous match of the Rivalries edition between Macho Man and Tito Santana. The worst day of TW's life happened at the Boston Garden in February of 1986, where Tito Santana was defending the title against Macho Man Randy Savage. The referee was Dangerous Danny Davis, and all hell broke loose.
In the worst fitting clothes ever. He looked like a hobo. Like they grabbed him out of the audience.
Again, that's neither here nor there. That's semantics. But anyway.
Mr. X.
I'm gonna give this to you, TW, because you've said this was the worst day of your life watching this in terms of watching wrestling. This was the worst day. Everything. Well, you did not watch this live.
The worst day is Hogan getting the necklace ripped off his neck on Piper's Pit and the Bulldogs losing the tag.
This was second. This was second.
This was the first worst day because he'd only been my favorite wrestler for a little bit.
I'm just saying.
But I was mad, man. I was like, he fucking hit him with the thing. But that's so guys don't do that nowadays, right? Macho Man held that thing up after he pulled it out of his tights, so everyone knew he had something except for the ref. He swung and missed. Then he gets the suplex, and then he bonks him, and then threw it out into the fucking audience so the audience could see it. And the cameraman picked it. Was such a work of art, and everyone knew he had it. Now, guys probably sometimes don't even have anything. They act like they got something in their hand. They don't show it all. They punch a guy in the face, act like they put it back in their tights, or hand it to someone else. I like the rolls of quarters. I like all that shit, man. And I bought it. It. And then when they told us referee's decision's final, there's no instant replay.
It was a roll of quarters, or was it? It was like a barbell, or it was a hand. Oh, okay. It looked like, but it was big that you saw it. It was visibly saw by everybody.
It almost looked like a corkscrew. Almost like a corkscrew. Yeah.
What say you about the whole match? The whole match. Then you get to that moment. How fluid it was.
It was awesome. And I'm telling you, man, I never realized how much of an athlete Tito was until watching all these together. You know what I mean? Like, I think Tito, it's weird to say this, knowing he had 2 IC title reigns, a tag title reign. He's untapped potential. He could have been so much more. And the funny thing is, who knows? Maybe they go the Mexico route instead of the Canada route, and they pick Tito instead of Brett. Maybe Tito's my idol instead of Brett, because, I mean, I was a Brett fan I always was a Tito. I love Strikeforce. I fucking told myself I liked El Matador, even though I fucking thought, what in the fuck? Is he on Sesame Street? Why is he dressed like that? But it was Tito. I don't care. I supported him. I supported this guy, the Red Rooster. I supported him because I was a Terry Taylor guy. But Tito could have been so much bigger. Let me say this. Tito deserved so much more. And it's funny because he was IC champion twice back when guys never even got to sniff it once. So he did get rewarded for his talent, and his feuds, like you said, with Morocco, with Valentine, they were awesome. And the thing is like you said, these aren't on TV, so you don't even realize how much him and Macho Man actually did work together, because really once he lost that belt to him on the Superstars where they showed it, is when Savage, I think that's when he started messing with George Steele, and then a year later was when Steamboat won it at WrestleMania 3. So Tito never really got the chase him on TV the way we now know he did in Boston and all the other locals. It's
funny you say that, because I was thinking about this when I saw the February thing, because again, because April was WrestleMania 2 in the 3 spots. Yeah. And Macho Man defended his belt against George Wells.
It was George Wells. Okay.
George Wells.
Wait a minute.
Hold on.
George Wells lost Jake the Snake and got the snake wrapped, and he puked.
No. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Who did Macho Man?
Junkyard Dog.
No. Macho Man defended against George the Animal Steel. I'm sorry.
It was George. Okay, that's what I thought when I said.
Yeah. So with that being said, he lost the belt in February. You could have built to WrestleMania 2 at least. We could have had a good, high-standing, high-caliber, Bundy and Hogan was top tier A, but tier B for maybe the national.
It was Bulldogs, really. That was your second main event.
That was your second main event, but your third main event was the boxing match. But another tier could have been Macho Man versus.
And it's
Tito.
Weird that it wasn't, right? Because every other WrestleMania since, the IC title steals the show.
So why didn't they go with that? Why do you think, in your humble opinion, that they didn't pull that trigger, that it was George the Animal Steel against Macho Man for the belt instead of Tito chasing? He could have came up short, and we could have saw that. It'd be fine with it, I guess, for me, for you, right?
The only thing I could think is George the Animal Steel was more cartoon-like, and he's trying to sell kids, and Tito was more of a regular athlete. You know what I mean? George Steele was larger than life as well. Tito was a big dude, but he, like I was starting to say earlier, he reminded me of if Everybody Loves Raymond was a gym teacher. That's the kind of look he had.
Oh God!
At least thank God he had knee pads.
You're gonna ruin Tito. You're ruining Tito right now.
That's my guy, man.
If that's your guy, you're saying that, I can't believe. But anyway, it is a conundrum, Reflectionites, that me and TW really can't answer, because again, if you had this high-profile robbery in the Boston Garden of all places, and TW, before we talk about the rematches and the commonalities of those rematches, what say you about the atmosphere? It wasn't a hushed silence after Macho Man won. People were pissed. Talk about the fans and the atmosphere and people wanted to throw things at Macho Man Randy Savage, but they couldn't. But what say you, TW, about the atmosphere?
You was 80s, man.
You was pissed on TV, watching it on TV on Superstars. Imagine
the 80s, man. The economy was shit. Well, it's coming back because of Reagan, but it was all just. It was a rough time. It was a rough time in these rough steel cities and motor cities and all these blue collar towns. And wrestling was their escape. And then when they go there and their guy doesn't win, and to top it all off, he didn't just lose clean. He straight up got screwed. And then people are like, bullshit. I paid my hard-earned money. Good money. I don't know what bad money is.
But wait, TW, to be fair, if you really look back on it, Danny Davis did not screw Tito. He didn't. He called it down the middle. It was a but they carried that over for a year of Danny Davis being this like bad rogue referee. But if you really looked at that match, Danny Davis didn't screw Tito Santana. It wasn't a fast count. You did not see the object that, in Macho Man's trunks and all that stuff. He did not screw him. He was actually good, but it was Gorilla Monsoon like pointing it out. It was Jesse Ventura saying, "Oh, I didn't even see it at first," but all that good stuff like a heel announcer was supposed to do. But Danny Davis did not become a heel referee just yet. It took until the Hart Foundation and the British Bulldog for him to really hone in on that. But I'm just saying,
it's funny because a year later, Tito was wrestling Danny Davis at WrestleMania.
But that was the part of the hook of the story. It's like, you robbed me in '86, but technically Danny Davis didn't do shit. I just wanted to say that. But anyway, TW, I'm sorry I interrupted you. What say you about that atmosphere like I asked you?
Well, like I said, it's people were mad at wrestling, sports, music. It's all our escape. And then you go there and you feel like he's getting hosed just like you are in life. You're mad about it. But that says something about liking Tito, right? Because you see other guys lose and they wouldn't get that furious. But again, there's a difference between losing clean and getting screwed. And getting screwed is meant to design. It's meant to get heat. And that's what they got. And again, it was just a different animal back then. Like I say it all the time. If I was the same age I was in '85 when I started watching wrestling today, I don't think it would hook me the way it did then. Like I watch it now, and I there's certain guys that I pull for, but if they lose, I shut the TV off and go about my business. Back then, that shit ruined my week, man. It was Tito losing the belt and Macho Man getting screwed. I went to school on Monday like, what the fuck? Did you guys see Tito get screwed? I didn't say screwed because I was in grade 6 or 7. I didn't know. I just said they messed him up. They messed him over.
No, I said he got fucked. I said he got fucked. That's what I said.
I said that at 7.
Yeah.
The Puerto Rican heat.
Of course.
How come you weren't at the show in Puerto Rico in '86?
I was 7, like you said.
But you can't go to Puerto Rico at 7?
I was 9 when he lost, so I couldn't go. I was 8 or 9 right there at that time, but I couldn't go on that one. But anyway, neither here nor there. But TW, we're gonna lump in the 3 rematches that I showed you: one from Philadelphia Spectrum, one from the Toronto Maple Leaf Gardens, and one from Madison Square Garden, because this is the beauty of not having social media, Reflectionites. This is the beauty that, WWE did not have that. It wasn't Raw or SmackDown where you could watch that rematch and everybody in the country sees it, because MSG Network had their own show. Philadelphia Spectrum Network had their own show. Toronto Maple Leafs Network had their own show and all this shit. Again, the storyline was for them, but the finish was the same. So TW, let me put this in a lump of logistics, because this went on for, a couple of months here, because Tito Santana is now chasing the Macho Man Randy Savage. So there's 2 avenues where they went with this, because the first avenue in the initial chase at first that I couldn't find the clips of of him winning by DQ or him winning by countout where he won it, but Macho Man, like, you know, did the shady heel shit, but he did. It's in the record books, Reflectionites. Tito won by DQ. Tito won by, you know, countout and all that stuff because, again, the matches that I show TW in these specific places, the theme was it was no disqualification. The thing was there must be a winner and all that shit. So TW, within all these 3 matches from Philadelphia, Toronto, and Madison Square Garden itself, we know, number one, it closes the show because, again, Hogan is part of the first intermission, and then he goes to his hotel and all that shit. So Macho Man and Tito, that's a full house. People want to see this Intercontinental Championship match. People want to see Tito become a 3-time champion and all this stuff. So all 3 of these matches have one thing in common, and it's the finish. Macho Man finds some way, shape, or form to beat the shit out of the referee. So it's not a disqualification. Again, it's a no disqualification match. That's the first thing. But
that's beauty. That's him using it to his advantage, and he punched him out.
No, but the funny thing was after he always cold cocks the referee out, Tito does the flying forearm, and he did it not once, not twice, but 3 times. And these it's the same finish
every time.
Parlay. But and then when he covers him, it's like a 10 count, and the fans are going, it's erupting, and Tito slaps his hand down. He wants the fans to be engaged with it. I just love the atmosphere and the beauty of it. And in all 3 rematches, TW and Reflectionites, Macho Man wins with a roll-up. It's beautiful.
Reversal.
And it's a reverse roll-up, and he hooks the trunks and all that stuff, and Tito is left bewildered. Tito is left on the short end of the stick. So TW, if you want to did you see something different from the Philly thing to Toronto to MSG, or was it the same?
Same spots on the floor, same spots in the ring, the same spots with the post, and the same. And what I do like is he doesn't complain that he's pulling the tights because that makes him look like an idiot because it's no DQ. He complained that it was only a 2 count because all 3 times he's kicking out on 3 and saying it was only 2. But then he goes on to do what we now have to put him in a category, the Hulk Hogan category of he's the babyface, but he wrestles like a heel. He's punching, he's kicking, and then after he loses, he beats the shit out of Savage by punching and kicking him some more. But that's to send the crowd home happy. But very heel-like behavior from Tito, which is good because it's like you're being frustrated because you want your belt back.
Great
promos too in between.
No, let me ask you this because again, I don't know if the Reflectionites really can capture this because I'm trying to encapsulate this, TW. And bear with me here because, again, with the nuances that every finish was the same, the match was exactly the same. Again, it's the house show tours. So they have chemistry with each other and they know, you know, they can close their eyes, TW, like you say. If I wrestle you 100 times, you know, in every which way in Detroit, in the Midwest area, in Ohio, and all that stuff, you and I will have a rapport. You and I could say, like, let's do spot 3. Let's do spot 7 or something like that. So Tito and Macho Man have the same thing. But as the fan, I did not see the Philly match. I did not see the Toronto match. Now, I can be nitpicky. I can be the jaded smart mark and be like, how can Tito be this dumb in every in every city to go and have the same match? You know, there are people that are that like stupid and that like, you know, nitpicky, if you will, Reflectionites. So TW, you know, can you like let's say calm the wrestling fan down with why the finish was the same in Philly, in New York, in Toronto, in Timbuktu, and Tito was this dumb in every city?
You want the honest answer? It's because it works. It got the same reaction every time, right?
No, but you have to
one
explain.
One thing I do want to add.
Okay.
And I love Ric Flair. He's right there. I don't like, I wrestled for 15 years and then still have done it off and on for the last 15, right? With a 4-year break. And I could count on one hand how many times I went out to the ring and wrestled a match where I didn't call something in the back, that we just went out there and called it in the ring. And you see all these old timers like Ric Flair, and I don't know if Brett's ever said it. I know Sean doesn't say it because I watched an interview with Sean recently about matches he had with Flair. And these guys get on their high horse and talk about all these young guys want to call spots in the back, blah, blah. We old timers, we just called it in the ring. First of all, yeah, Bruiser what's his name? Bruiser Bedlam? What? No, fuck.
Bruiser Brody, you're right.
No, not Bruiser Brody. Dick the Bruiser. Okay. Guys like Dick the Bruiser and George and Luthez, yeah, they called it in the ring because they didn't fucking do anything. They did hip tosses, body slams, and they didn't even run ropes back then, right? So it was very easy to just be in a headlock and go, okay, let's get up, and then one of us drop kick the other one. That's very easy. But for this match, for it to be spot on, almost identical in all three, like I did that. Me and Rico wrestled each other 11 times. We did the same match. By the 11th time, were there things different in it than the first one? Absolutely. Because we took out the shit that didn't work and put in the stuff that did. And then, added stuff and tried new things. So by the time we wrestled each other, it was our first 11 matches. So, and I think I told you, I asked Too Cold Scorpio to watch it, give us critique. And it was the 5th match that he saw, so about halfway through it. And I said, what'd you think? He goes, you guys have had that match before, haven't you? And he told me we look like robots just going through the motion, and you don't want that, right? So I'm like, wow. So once he told me that, then I started changing things up, and I did what you just said. We would have spots, and I would say, let's do this. And I wouldn't say, let's do this spot. I would say, hip toss spot or backdrop spot, whatever. And Rico knew what we were doing, and we changed it up, and you just kind of made it a little bit more organic, if you will. So to see this match be almost identical in all 3 towns, I never heard Macho Man say it. I never heard Tito say it. But I have heard Ric Flair say it 1,000,001 times. And to Ric Flair, I say, with all due respect, fuck you. You had the same match with everybody you wrestled. You called it in the back, whether you want to admit it or not. There's no way you go out there and not have a plan and then throw audibles in there. I understand that, Matter of fact, the basic anatomy of a match, especially back then, you start off, the bad guy shines, then the good guy takes it back, shines 2 times in a row, bad guy powders. When the bad guy cuts him off, none of that's called. We don't call spots when I'm on top, is what you call it, when the heel's getting heat. But you call the false comebacks. I tell them, hey, do this, But the real comeback, we talked about that in the back. I'll tell them in the ring, hey, false comeback, do this, whatever. But the finish, the comeback, and the cutoff that got you cut off in the first place, all of that's called in the back. I don't care who you are. And if you didn't call it in the back, 99% of the time, you probably fucked up when you try to do it in the ring. And it's something complicated. You know what I mean? Something simple like an eye gouge in a fucking body. Yeah, of course they called that in the ring. Who can't do that? But to act like you went out there and had 60 minutes with Ricky Steamboat and you didn't call nothing in the back, because you've done the same spots in other matches with Ricky Steamboat. So
I hear you. As a wrestler, I'm not even going to retort back.
But to answer your question, they did the same spot every time because it worked. That spot drew heat. Now, I actually thought to myself, what would I do if I was Tito and someone said, hey, man, I seen you in Boston, Philly, and Toronto, and you fucking got beat the same way every time. What's wrong with you? And I would literally go, dude, it's one of my moves. It works almost all the time, but Savage keeps getting my tights. What can I do? I didn't think he'd get them that time. There's a way to explain it, right?
Okay.
But think about it. What do they say about Cena? 5 moves of doom. What do they say about Hogan? 5 moves of doom. Bret Hart, the same fucking 3 setup moves before he did this move. So it's in his repertoire. So if someone called him out on it, all you got to do is say, hey, man, that move has worked for me way more than it's not. And the 3 times in a row, sure, it sucks. But Macho Man had my number that night. Next time, I'm not using that move.
Is it the advantage of again, because in the 80s, I did not see Toronto. Cable wasn't at its Phoenix Reflectionites where you could see that the Toronto house show and be like, wait, I already saw this match. Technically, if I'm going to be that smart, Mark.
The only danger you had was tape traders, right? And even back then, you weren't even allowed to bring cameras in there. So I don't know how these people are getting these tapes. There were no cell phones. If there were cell phones back then,
no, you could bring. No, in the 80s, you could bring cameras. You could bring the Kodaks. And those are,
yeah.
Remember, the movie cameras were like about $3,000, so no one was bringing that.
And 300 pounds. So nobody.
Yeah, that too. So I get you're right about that. You could not bring a movie camera like that because those were expensive and big.
And the rag sheets didn't tell you how they won. They just told you who won. So if you saw that Macho Man beat Tito Santana in every town, you're just thinking, damn, Tito's just losing. You don't know that he lost the exact same way in every single town. You just know that he lost.
But I get your point because when we look at these matches, TW, you're right because the spot at the end with the roll up and grabbing the tights and coming up with the dastardly win, if you will, everybody got pissed. Yeah. Philly was pissed. Toronto was pissed. Madison Square Garden, we were pissed and all that stuff. So like I said, I saw the match. I was pissed.
You know what I was hoping for?
What was that?
And I'll bet you in hindsight, someone probably wishes they had. To get real good heat on Macho Man is he purposely got disqualified. I'm going to assume the matches that we didn't get to see was for the same reason. He punched the referee. This time he did it. He didn't get disqualified. But they did all three. They did a couple different spots on the floor and got back in the ring. I was waiting for him to get counted out. And then Tito go, what the fuck? So then the next match would be no count out and no disqualification. And they didn't do that. I would have liked to seen that. And then, but the problem is if you do that, then Tito almost has to win because otherwise he's done. If he's almost won but he got disqualified, then he's almost won but he got counted out, and then those are all the table.
It's 19 unless they were gonna pay it off for us in Saturday night's main event. That would be the only venue for him to get the payoff, but we didn't get that payoff. So with that being said, let's close TW on the last match I got you to watch because I wanted to give you a little bit of a curveball because Macho Man was not only defending the title in these rematches from house show to house show with Tito Santana. There was another one. There was a legend. There was an icon, a living legend himself who became a #1 contender for that IC belt, and that was Bruno Sammartino. And Bruno and Tito Santana had a common enemy, and that was Macho Man Randy Savage. And at that time, he was aligning himself with the adorable one, Adrian Adonis. And in Madison Square Garden, TW, it became a tag team warfare, if you will. I was trying to find the one where they were fighting in the steel cage. I was there definitely for that one. I know that much. I am 100% sure.
A tag team cage match? I don't know if I've ever seen one back then.
It was a tag team match.
Did they have to do the tag rules, or was it tornado tag?
No, they did the tag rules. No, it was tornado. It was tornado. It was the blue cage and all that stuff. It was beautiful. I remember this vividly myself. I'm 99% sure my brother, my father, and myself were at a Madison Square Garden Heart Show where it was the blue steel cage match, tag team warfare between Macho, Adorable One, and Bruno and Tito. But I got you to see at least the first match, if you will, this tag team warfare. So what say you about this match and the culminations of it all?
The promo was cool, and Macho Man, I think, was it Gorilla interviewing him?
Yeah, it was Gorilla
Monsoon. Goes, yeah, I got this old man I got to deal with, and you're an old man too. He's calling them both old. And Adorable Adrian was just weird. And then when they fought, I don't even remember them making tags. It was like a tornado. They were just fighting all over the place. And then
Bruno don't know his cues. Let's be honest. He just wants to go.
Jimmy Hart, Tito got his hands on Jimmy, and then Adrian Adonis Pearl Harbored him. And then did they lose by count out?
Yes.
Yeah, because I couldn't figure out how the finish went. I just know they said it, Adonis, and that's where you think the baby faces are gonna win. Either Bruno or Tito pins Macho Man, but even then they did. It was like they were just trying to get that crowd to riot. That was in New York or no?
That was Madison Square Garden there. Yeah. Trust me, they won. They got the
payoff. They love Bruno.
Yeah, they got the payoff in the cage match.
Yeah, the cage match was second. Okay.
Yeah, the cage match was second. So what say you about the combustible elements here? Because again, Bruno offers something when Hogan was not at Madison Square Garden because, again, like you said, he sold out Madison Square Garden.
The house that Bruno built.
It's the house that Bruno built and all this stuff. So we understood why Bruno was there, even though Bruno didn't want to be there in '86. He was like, God damn it, Vince, let me rest. I just want to be a commentator. I don't want to, put my body on the line. Well, he got paid. So
grateful ass kid to get his kid in there.
Yeah, that too. So with neither here nor there. But TW, let's look at the nuances before we even look at the match per se. Again, it was more about punching, kicking, and Bruno is not a Meltzer 5-star classic type of man. He has literally no moves. But neither here nor there. That's not a dig at him. But TW, did tagging with Bruno Sammartino, in your humble opinion, hinder or help Tito Santana into, let's say, you and I being the smart marks that we are, the push, if you will, maybe main event status push, like the rub that Bruno is giving Tito Santana, or did it hinder him a little bit?
They're doing it in Madison Square Garden. It's 100% to get the rub. And then also, if they were to lose by pin, if Bruno takes the pin, it gets some heat because they pinned Bruno, the hero, but then it takes the stink off of Tito because he didn't get pinned. It's a win-win for him. The weird thing's Adrian Adonis, but if you say they were kind of like Adrian Adonis and Jesse Ventura was the East-West connection or some shit. And then I kind of remember Macho Man and Ventura teaming up a couple times back then.
In 85.
They both had the bandanas and all that. So it's almost like my best friend's friend is my friend. So I could tie it together with that. But Adrian just seemed like he was off. He didn't seem like he was in to maybe he hated the gimmick. I don't know. But it was a weird combo. And I remember Bruno wrestling back then, and I remember just being a kid and thinking, why? Why does because he reminded me of the dad on the Christmas Story. Like, who the fuck wants to see him wrestle, dude? Nobody. And
with the hairy chest and back and all that.
He ended up getting an action figure out of that, looking like Fred Flintstone. I'll never forget that figure ever. Actually, the Andre with the short hair looked like Fred Flintstone, but Bruno looked like an old man, and no knee pads, of course. But at the same time, people bought it. People were all in cheering for him, And he wasn't that much older than like your Bob Ortons and guys like that, Mike Sharp. But
Bruno had to be in his late 40s or early 50s in
there's guys
in
in
86?
WWE right now in their late 40s and early 50s that don't look as old as Bruno did.
Well, remember the training regimen and all that stuff, and the way the body is. I mean, Billy Gunn at looks different at his age than Bruno did at his age. You know what I'm saying? So Billy Gunn looks like he's like 34, and Bruno still looks like he was 59 when he was in 1986. So it's regimen, it's nutrition, and all that stuff. It's all different.
The reference point for everybody to use for the 80s is, and I've never seen this movie, but I've seen clips and advertising for it. Wilford Brimley in the movie Cocoon is 2.5 years younger than I am right now. And I look old as fuck with this beard growing in. But when
and in the Cocoon movies, he looked like he was in his 60s.
At least. He looked like my grandfather did at 70 in 86. And
Jesus Christ.
So when I heard that, I'm like, there's no fucking way. And then I Googled it. Him, Shelley Winter, Jonathan, all these motherfuckers were in their 40s. When we're 8, 9, 10 years old, and you're like, that motherfucker's 40, and here I am at 50, and I'm like, I don't look even remotely like that, and I ain't even in the best shape of my life. It's not. Billy Gunn looks like he did when he was 20 years old. I do not look like I did when I was 20 years old, but I sure the fuck don't look like Wilford Brimley's version of 48. Jesus. He was 48 when he filmed it. He was 49 when it came out. But in that movie, when he was filming it, he was 48 years old in that movie, and it's get out of here.
That's either great acting or great makeup, because he looked like he was 68. But anyway, that's just neither here nor there.
That was how motherfuckers looked back then. You hit a certain age and you became a parent, and that was that. I'm still a Toys R Us kid, damn it. I took that old serious. Look around me. I'm going to die a kid.
Well, you know what? You just convinced me to groom more, so I'm going to start grooming.
I bought one of them nose and ear trimmers yesterday.
I'm just saying, I'm going to start grooming more.
How old are you? You just had the birthday with 29?
I'm 47.
Yeah, you don't look 47, man.
I'm not Wilford Brimley 47, so that's a good thing.
Black don't crack. Black don't crack.
Absolutely not. But anyway, TW, let's put a bow on this tag team conundrum here. What did you like? What did you not like? Well, when Bruno is fighting and he doesn't really do anything but punch and kick, some people don't like it.
He's phoning it in.
Yeah, that's what I'm just saying. So what say you about put a bow on this match? Did it offer anything to you with this feud between Tito and Macho Man, or this was just more of an attraction?
It's funny you say that, because here's what it did. It opened the door for me to do something.
What did it do?
I watched the first match from fucking start to finish. I watched the second match and the third. And then you fucking slid in a Facebook video and then a fucking Daily Motion. Okay. So I skipped them, went back to the Adrian Adonis, and I'm like, because I remember thinking, man, how come he didn't send me no tag matches? And then I saw that, I go, what the fuck? And it taught me that I could fast forward through this shit and still talk about it. And I fast forwarded through that, and it started fast forwarding through the Facebook one before I realized this is the same fucking match that I already watched. And then I fast forward to the ending, and I fast forward to the end. I'm like, I bet you sent me. I go, he's exposing kayfabe right now. He's purposely sending me these two so that I could see the difference in the one thing that I did notice is the match where Tito lost the belt. I remember just thinking that was like, obviously it wasn't fan footage because it's 86, but I just remember it not being slick TV footage. And that was a New England Sports Network. That was right. Taped for that network. Right, but it wasn't as polished as Superstars and whatever. And then there was one angle where they were coming up the steps on the side and getting in the ring, and I was like, that looks like a fucking cell phone recorded that shit, right? Like it was like, that's weird, because that means there was a person on the floor with a camera that they probably didn't use very often, because it always felt like the hard cam or whatever was the only camera, or at least two hard cams. But it was weird. But that match to me, again, it was confusing. I get it. If I go back to 86, I do remember. That was the most timid Adrian Adonis. Normally he's over the top. You know what I mean? Like he's trying to steal the show. He made me feel like he felt like I felt having to watch it. Like, really? We got to do this shit? I got to be there with the fucking two Potato Brothers?
Maybe he did not want to steal the thunder from Macho Man. Macho Man said, no, you're not stealing my thunder, brother. It doesn't work for me.
It didn't like he cared. It wasn't even about stealing thunder. It didn't like he reeled himself in. It looked like he never reeled himself out.
If you saw him in singles matches, he did with a lot of pomp and circumstances. Yeah. But when he was aligned with Macho Man, he kind of like laid in the weeds and did his job. He was a lackey. So
I remember the first time I saw Adrian Adonis when he had the leather jacket and the biker hat and the suitcase.
Put it this way. Put it this way, at least you figured maybe within this tag team match, even though you fast forward and we already know the results, that they won by a count out. You thought but initially you thought that Adrian was going to eat the pin from Bruno.
Absolutely.
That would have protected everybody.
No. I thought if I was booking this, Macho Man is eating the pin with either Tito or Bruno, whoever's coming back next month to wrestle for the belt, so that the fans think he pinned him once, he's going to pin him again. To have Adrian Adonis, unless you did it in a cool way where Macho Man was about to take the pin and Adrian took one for the team and then he took it, kind of like Seth pushing Cody out of the way and taking the spear or whatever he did at Mania. That would have made sense, because then you're still mad at Macho Man, like, you motherfucker, that fucking flying forearm was meant for your ass, not Adrian Adonis. And then you could almost turn Adrian babyface, right? And have him chase Macho Man for that belt. But at the end of the day, it just, for them to win confused me even more. Like what the fuck? What? The whole reason you put guys in tag matches is to protect the belt. You don't make them lose the belt, but you make them. But maybe loss was in a tag match.
Maybe it changes your quandary about WWE. That making people go home happy was a myth. Vince did not want to make you go home happy. Not at a house show. You always kept saying WrestleMania. He
wanted you to come back to see that cage match.
There you go. So with that, with that being said, we close. Unless you want to say, well, I'll let you close this way. What say you, since we kind of we did Tito and Greg about a year ago in Greatest Rivalries, and Tito and Macho Man, which one is more important in the pantheon of the Intercontinental legacy?
Tito Macho Man, because to me, it made Macho Man, and it protected Tito, right? And then Tito kind of just went away, and then George Steele and Ricky Steamboat kind of took on that. And then Tito ended up going to the Strike Force a little over a year later. I think that summer, 87. But Tito didn't lose anything. Like, he only two-time champion at that point. Still was my guy until Steamboat stole me from him. Which ironically was through the same guy. But I think Tito, Macho Man, and Steamboat and everybody else were better off for it. Whereas Valentine was like, I always thought of him as a tag wrestler, right? And all that stuff happened before I started watching. And then Valentine and Beefcake were tag champs. So it was like, I just think it did more for Tito and Macho Man this feud than that, because it made me hate Macho Man, who I eventually would go on to put in my top 5 of all time.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I just wanted to get your opinion about which.
No, I would just say maybe Valentine made Tito, but I think Tito and Macho Man made Macho Man. And in a very similar thing later would be when Bret had the IC title.
Put it this way. This feud, the rivalry between Tito and Macho Man solidified the legitimacy of the Intercontinental Heavyweight title.
That's the moment where it became that whoever had it was the guy. And that's what I was about to say. Another version of that, making somebody, was Bret Hart being IC champ when Kurt Hennig came in. And Bret made Hennig because the very first thing Kurt did after he started doing them vignettes, and I remember the back page of WWE magazine, it was Kurt Hennig saying, "Bret Hart, I'm gunning for you." And I can picture it right now. There was a target and all that, and that put it cut Kurt to the head of the line. Like when Razor came out, he did all them vignettes and he just beat jobbers all the time. Kurt Hennig came out and went right for Bret, like cut the line, got there, and then Kurt returned the favor to Kerry Von Erich. Kerry Von Erich cut the line. You know what I mean? So that belt, exactly. That's the perfect way to sum it up. When Tito won it from Valentine, it was still the secondary belt. When Tito and Macho Man changed it, and then Tito chased him, and then Macho Man defended it, that belt became more important than the world title for a minute.
Beautiful words by TW. And with that being said, we close on this Greatest Rivalries edition of the PWR podcast here at the Hameen Media Group at podbean.com. And what we're going to do next week, you know what, TW? I think it's time to change the course of wrestling history again. We got to do what if. We got to do a what if. So I kind of pondered this one because
what if Adam Cole wasn't a dumbass to sign a 5-year contract? Oh, that's too soon.
We don't. That's too soon. So we have to keep it within the Travis Bolts rules. It has to be 10 years and above. But maybe 7 years.
Travis is 20. Your rule's 10. Travis's is 20.
Well, Travis is wrong. But anyway, 10 years and above. But anyway, neither here nor there. But it goes without saying. So we're gonna change the course of wrestling history. So I need you to. Jesus Christ! What did you hit your dick?
Yeah, I hit my dick on the arm of this chair.
Oh, okay. Well,
what does that say? Can you see that? Does it say it the right way or is it backwards?
Sacrifice it. It says it the right way. But anyway, TW, I need you to put your booking hat on and really think about this. And please don't say this is going to be a 5-minute show because, again, we already know what things happen. I already know. But we're going to try to book this right. We got to try to save this wrestling company. There was a decision back in 1998, Reflectionites. Starrcade 98, if you will. They made a booking decision, a booking faux pas, a booking mistake, as Goldberg said it himself. That Goldberg streak ended in Starrcade 1998 when Kevin Nash defeated Goldberg for the WCW Heavyweight title, and we already know about the finger poke of doom and all the little shortcomings that happened after that. But TW and I will attempt to save WCW. We will attempt to save, hopefully, maybe WCW will not go out of business. But we're going to try to book a different scenario. What if Bill Goldberg's undefeated streak continued after Starrcade 98? Are you ready to put your booking hat on for that? What if?
I'm going to have to watch some Nitros because I don't even think I watched that shit. But I do have an opinion. When you first say it, I have an opinion straight away. So we'll it'll be all right.
It will be all right. Again, this is what ifs do. We change the course of wrestling. We will attempt to change wrestling history for the better. So with that being said, TW, give out those socials so we can get out of here. Stop looking around. Just give out the socials.
For a Stone Cold Steve Austin figure, damn it.
Well, there's nothing to do with anything right now.
All right. Well, I'm staring at Stunning Steve, Hollywood Blonde Steve. I'm like, where's Stone Cold?
We're not even talking about Stone Cold. But anyway, give out those socials, man.
Hey, man. Pro Wrestling Coalition Network, off probation, maybe if they do it 3 weeks in a row. You can find them at PWC.
On good behavior.
They're on good behavior now, but maybe they can get off of what do we call it?
Probation.
They can get off of probation if they hit 3 in a row at PWC Network. No, PWC Network at podbean.com. You can also find Hameen Media Group at podbean.com, as well as channelattitude.com. Our show's on the X at PW Reflection. You can find Travis Bolts there. We mentioned him at the last minute, so we got to talk. He's at Nuts and Bolts PW, VOELTZ PW. And Big Ray, you can find him every Wednesday live on the Next Level podcast, but he's also on every single social media app there is, including Grindr. For those dudes that are sick of sliding in to Professor's DMs, you can find him at Big Ray Hernandez. Is that a Grindr handle? At Big Ray Hernandez?
Could be.
Is yours at Professor on Grindr?
I got no Grindr. I'm not a grinder. I'm a groomer. So they need to get that.
That's similar. You got grinded into grooming. But anyways, and you can find me on X and Instagram at TommyWonder19, or the other Instagram and TikTok at the Tommy Wonder. My Snapchat is #Wonder, Facebook.com/Tommy Wonder, and you can find Big Vito and Noel at Big Vito Brand on TikTok, and you can watch the early release video of the Reflection Show at Big Ray Hernandez on X. He does it on Saturdays.
Sometimes Fridays, sometimes Thursdays. It depends.
So that means you got to follow him so you know when it's going to pop up there.
It pops up early sometimes. It does pop up early sometimes. So I never argue with Ray.
Wednesday once he told us he's putting it on a Wednesday.
He just says, "Fuck it, I just put it up there. Just find it. That's all it is." But anyway, just find the early release on Big Ray Hernandez's excerpt. But you can follow me on my excerpt because sometimes I repost it on my excerpt Twitter handle at PWSOPRF. That's PWSOPROF. And if this gets uploaded by 8-Track Brown, it'll be available on the PWSO YouTube networks. Follow my brothers in arms, 8-Track Brown, the dirtiest of the city, the king of the reactions at the #8, TRAC Brown, and of course, Billy Ray Valentine in the Wednesday Locker Room at OB1 You Know Me. And of course, next week, we're going to do a What If special. I don't know, we're going to try to change the course of wrestling history for the good. We're going to see what happens if Bill Goldberg is still undefeated after Starrcade 98. So with that being said, I'm the Professor. That's Mr. Wonderful, Dum Do Idiot Zone, the Iron Stomach One, Dr. Freakenstein, and the undisputed, undeniable Detroit Heavyweight Champion of the world. Thank God, I was about to lose my breath. Whee! Tommy Wonder saying good night, and we'll see you next time here at the TWR Podcast at the Hami Media Group at podbean.com.
I just had an idea.
What's that?
This WWE logo is going to get turned around, and that's going to be the M in Michigan. Well, you got to tell me what it's called, though, the championship again. I'm going to get a custom belt made.
Detroit Heavyweight Championship of the World. Peace, Reflectionites. Arriba.